Good morning, everyone. It's 9:01. We're going to call the election meeting today.
Carmen Turner,
Here.
Laura Richard,
I'm here.
thank you. Cynthia Ginyard,
Here.
Bobby Eberly,
Here.
thank you. 2, approve minutes of meetings held on April 26, 2022, and October 20, 2022.
Motion. I have a motion. Second motion.
So moved.
Do I have a motion? Do I have a second
For which set or both?
for the minutes?
Of both?
Are we doing both sets of,
Yes, due to the fact that the last meeting, the representatives had not received all the minutes.
Okay.
And I believe those were sent out last Friday.
yes.
They were, yes.
Okay. Do I have a second? Any discussion?
Yes.
Okay.
Both of the minutes say that we approved minutes of meeting held on October 31st, 2022, which would have been impossible.
Impossible.
I also noticed that Mr. Eberly's name is misspelled, but of course, it's more the date that,
Okay.
the dates on both sets of minutes are incorrect.
So what can we do on that other?
So Ms. Richard can do the motion, you can amend it to correct
motion
that
to amend
date
it.
for the minutes?
Motion to amend to the correct dates
Yes, ma'am.
for each set of minutes.
And also
First
the
set of
spelling
minutes was the 20th day of October. Second set of minutes was the 26th day of April. So that needs to be changed.
Okay, and also we want to go ahead and spell his name correctly too, if you don't mind.
Oh, thank you,
So-
I forgot about that, yes.
Second. Second, okay. So we all okay with that? Okay. So we won't approve the minutes till next meeting? How do you want to do it?
No, so they're approved, and once Ms.
Once she
Richard
make
made
the
the
correction, okay.
then your secretary will correct the minutes
Okay,
for the
Okay.
record, yes.
okay, we'll get that done then.
You're good.
Thank
yes.
you.
And I-
Number 3, receive update from the Elections Administration Office.
We didn't vote.
We didn't vote.
Oh, I'm sorry, go ahead. I thought you had, I thought I heard.
And actually, for
That's what I was
Sorry.
thinking.
the dates of the minutes would be the date would be the previous meeting.
That's correct.
That's correct.
Okay.
Correct,
Right.
yes.
So the April one would be whatever you guys had before. that.
Previous.
Okay.
Right.
Yes. Yeah.
And just to confirm, you're approving the minutes of April 26, 2022, and October 20th, 2022, correct?
With the corrections.
Yes.
Yes,
With the corrections and the spelling of the name?
Yes.
the minutes,
So all
yes,
three of those
ma'am.
things? Mhm.
Yes,
Okay,
correct.
okay.
We're good.
So you want to go ahead and have a motion on it now?
Do I have a motion? That's for you to
I think
say.
that's the motion I made.
Yeah.
isn't
Yeah.
it?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
And you
You
approved
seconded
it.
it, that's what I thought.
Yeah.
Okay.
and
So
we
then
got
you
a
want to
second on
vote?
it. Yeah.
Did you want to vote on it too, you said?
Yeah.
Yeah, let's go ahead and
Just
vote
make it
on it.
official. Let's make it, yeah.
There you go.
You know, call for the vote.
I want to call for the vote.
Okay. All those in favor?
All of them in favor?
Aye.
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 Okay. All right, number 3, receive update from the Elections Administration Office.
Thank you all. We've had a relatively quiet first week. The first day was our busiest day in terms of total number of people voting. Yesterday was the busiest day among the sites we had open in terms of the number of voters per hour. There's a but that's normal, that's to be expected since we were open 12 to 6 in the peak periods. We weren't there at, 7 to 8:30. People just don't really vote in mass. Our technical calls to our office through yesterday, we've had only 66. However, that's twice as many as we did in the first week of the primary. But we attribute most of that to new people that most of the issues are fairly simple. We did have one, I guess that was on Friday, was it, Chase, with the library? Thursday. We did have one issue we completely lost connectivity for our kiosks at George Library. We think it was a Verizon cell tower, but we managed to get it restored after a few hours using an IT PepLink. It's a different device instead of a hotspot. Other than that, things have run fairly well. We've not had any major, the only electioneering issues we've generally had have been at Four Corners, but that's par for the course. Again, we've had a minimal amount of equipment issues. We've had some express votes go down. We replaced a number of them yesterday before the polls opened. So I think we're in pretty good shape. Oh, I will mention we've added about 2,000 registered voters last week. This comes from, unfortunately, for example, Saturday we received over 700 from DPS that registered back in August and September. So we had to get those schlepped in and then had to go through and find out that there were about 150 of them that did not have a residence address that came through, so those are incomplete. But this just drives us up the wall because we don't know how many of these people might have turned up at a polling place already and said, can I vote, and they're not registered. But we also got about that many from Secretary of State on paper forms early in the last week, and then a bunch from Harris County as well. So, and then we've also added limited ballot voters in as well. But our rolls have jumped by quite a bit this first week of early voting. So, any questions?
Yeah, I'm not familiar with this whole process, John, of how what am I trying to say? Department of Vehicles, Motor Vehicles, and Secretary of State's office. So if I sign my paper with driver's license people, let's just say August, and now they're sending a batch to the county office.
Right.
Well, the voter thinks that they're registered in time for the election.
Right.
Well, you haven't gotten it yet.
Nope.
Are they registered and eligible to vote?
They would be eligible to vote once we get it. And
Once
again,
you get it,
yeah,
right.
I had people working Saturday and Sunday to get these people to verify that we had all the information. It should have been simple. We get daily updates from DPS. But these had a lot of, and everybody in the state was getting these on Friday or Saturday, with a lot of them with no address, no residential address. They had a mailing address. So
Right.
basically, we had to generate letters and going out today to these folks saying, you know, you have an incomplete registration, you'll have to give us the address. Now, we think DPS had those addresses, they just didn't get transmitted to us, but we're not 100% certain.
So
But this
that's,
is,
that would be DPS and then the Secretary of State's
Secretary of
office?
State is a paper form issue, you know, if you go to, for example, a library in Fort Bend County, we try to make sure that their forms, although the SOS doesn't like that, but has our address on it rather than the SOS address, because when they get slammed, they may get thousands, hundreds of thousands of registration forms at the end. They have to sort through them and then physically send them to us. So we got a big package of them, I think, on Monday or Tuesday of this week. We may get more. Then people send them to the wrong, they'll get one from Harris County and they'll mail it in, but they really live in Fort Bend. So
Sure.
Harris has to process and send, just like we get some for Harris and have to send over to them. But as I say, it's not as bad as it was in some past elections. We had, actually the day before the election, I can't remember if it was 2 years ago or 4 years ago, we got a huge box of forms from the SOS that all made the cutoff, so. but
Right.
they had
And
so
so
many.
generally, you receive them somewhere around the beginning of early voting?
Well, yeah, we typically, those who registered DPS, we should receive within 2 days. In fact, maybe even the same day. That's all electronic. People who update Texas Online through the SOS, that generally will happen the same day. But we don't know what happened with DPS, but that's not really on the Secretary of State, that's on DPS.
Right, that's a whole
Yeah.
different,
The paper forms are an SOS issue, so.
I'll get the,
But that's.
I'll get the
yeah.
senators to see if they can troubleshoot
good.
that, because first of all, it's an aggravating nuisance to
Yep.
you all when you are in the midst of either preparing for early voting or in the process of executing early voting. And I'm thinking, you know, somebody who registered August, September, and you don't have that information yet, well, it's certainly unfair to the voter if they happen to be one that went on
If they have-
Monday and say, oh, yes, I did it in August, and then they don't have their information.
And that's why it's important that our poll workers issue provisional ballots to people who think that they're registered. So that's a vital thing. Not all of them want to, or
Yeah.
none of them like to do it.
Since that's state level, maybe they can provide some intervention.
Yeah, well-
Because it helps all parties involved, you as well as voters who
Right.
are getting, you know, making sure they do it, and then, you know, there could be a hiccup. I don't care who you vote for, it doesn't matter, it's not a party thing, it's just the
Yeah.
citizen
I
has
think the
registered.
solution, and I've thought this for years, the solution to this is online voter registration.
Oh.
Which, you know, that would solve a lot of these problems. And
Well, just
actually,
slap
this,
your hand,
10
Administrator
years
Oldham.
ago, our commissioners court voted for a resolution supporting it. So, but support tends to fall down go down every session of the legislature. So they didn't even hear a bill on it this last time. But it nearly made it, 14 years ago, it nearly made it through, died on the calendar after passing both chambers. So it tends to lose support. But we're one of only 4 states that don't have online registration. So.
Really?
Yeah.
Well, it certainly, I think, requires intervention if they're not going to do online voter registration, and heaven knows I don't see that. Then what they're doing ought to be efficient. You don't want to do what will resolve the problem, then what you're doing ought to be efficient.
Right.
Yeah.
Well, it would also solve another number of problems. We're a very diverse county, as everybody knows. We
Yeah.
always talk about our diversity. And a lot of the names we see on registration forms that our people have to manually enter are very unfamiliar to us. And they're not always in the correct order. In some cultures, the last name goes before the first name and all this. So we get data entry errors for that reason. And if people are filling out
legibility
their
is
own
an issue as
stuff,
well,
yeah.
you know, because that's my normal pattern. When I get a form, I feel like if I can't read it, then the entry clerk can't read it.
Sure.
So, yeah, if no one's checking, you know, then that's, yeah. All righty.
Good morning, John, how you doing? All this week, Chase and I have been kind of talking back and forth. I hadn't had a chance to speak with you, but I've been going around to the polls. And when I go around to the polls, Saturday morning, I think it was that you called me, Cynthia, and I went to Chase Wood. No, Four Corners it was first. Four Corners, it was about anywhere from 50 to 100 people standing outside.
And what time was that?
That was early in the morning, and then they moved them on the inside, and they moved the lines around and around like they had to.
Unfortunately, some media, and I don't know which one, had put out information that we opened at 11. So we had a line when we opened at 12. For example, I didn't know about Four Corners, but knew that at our building, we had a fairly long line. But that was because people came an hour early. They were thinking the polls, and I don't know which media did that, but we know somebody did because voters were saying, well, we read that it was, or we heard that we opened at 11. I looked to see if Harris County did. They didn't. They opened at 12 as well, so.
Yeah, a lot of them opened at 12 like they were supposed to. A lot of people was just in line at 11:30. But my biggest problem was I went to every poll that I could possibly go to, which, you know, I've been riding around to the polls to check on everything. Four Corners needed 2 machines. We got the 2 machines over there. Actually, they wanted 4 machines. Y'all got the 2 machines over there. and they needed 2 more. Four Corners is one of our biggest polls. It has the most people. But my biggest concern is the idea that anybody has to wait in line, period. And let me finish up and follow up with this here. I work at the tax office, and property season time, we have lines, as y'all know, around the corner every day. And it's a bother to the public. And the longer the people stay in line, there's a problem. This week is going to be a busy, busy week. We have machines that could be taken to the polls. They should be taken to the polls. Not only that, at least 10 machines were broken down, which I called Chase and told Chase about it. Chase went over there himself to fix them. And my concern is if we have IT, like we have discussed with IT, which I'm kind of upset with IT, why isn't IT getting out there to do it? It would be just like me trying to go over to the appraisal district office and help them run it, or go to Laurie's office and help them run it, and I cannot do it. Reason why, I got too much stuff going on over here that I'm trying to keep down. Love you, John, but at the same time, we owe it to the public to make sure that we don't have lines out there. And we have machines that's sitting by the side, why are we not using them? One. Two, who is programming the machines?
Well, there's things that we're very grateful for what IT did the first couple of days at helping troubleshoot. But there's things, there's familiarity with some of this equipment that IT does not have. And they probably never will have because they touch it 2 or 3 times a year, where we touch it all the time. Our feeling, and we've got to bear in mind that we're open 12 hours, and we have some peak times. Our peak times all this first week have been between 11:30 and 12:30 and 2:30 and 3:30. We staff for and basically plan for an average time. Yeah, there's going to be peak times, and some people may have to stand in line. But really, yesterday was a little bit different because everybody started at the same time, and it was later in the day. Up to that, to our knowledge, we've really not had lines anywhere. Every one of our sites have closed down at the latest at 7:02, so that means we've not had lines at 7 o'clock waiting for people waiting to vote. You mentioned, well, for example, on average, and again, this includes the average for the week with the number of people voting, and so this includes the early morning hours and when not a whole lot of people are voting. But for example, Bowie, which has less equipment than Four Corners, is voting quite a few more people, and they're in smaller space and much less voting units. So some of it's a matter of when people turn up. But again, some of these places we simply can't staff that much. And, you know, our expectation is that we don't want people waiting more than a half hour on the busiest times, but we can't staff everybody for the peak period of time in terms of staffing of equipment and people. Some places we can't put in more equipment, like Hightower. We're limited as to how much stuff we can squeeze in there, just like we are at Bowie, just like we are at some of our newer sites. They're small, but it's economics. It's land, labor, and capital. And if we don't have enough land, we can't put enough equipment in there.
But at the same time, we had machines down from Monday, Tuesday, and here we are in another week. And from my understanding, y'all supposed to go out Sunday. There's no way y'all could have fixed Hightower machine because Sunday, Hightower was closed. So my thing is, are we going to work as a team? Hold on. Are we going to work as a team, or what are we going to do? Because we know the second week of election is always a busy time of the year. We also know that election day is going to be a very busy time of the day. And I mean, I've been saying this for a whole year now, John. I don't understand why IT and you all not working together.
We are.
Hold on. No,
are.
because at the end of the day, I have to call IT. You have to call IT. And I'm not trying to make this a big deal for you. What I'm trying to say, if teamwork will make everything work. I calculate and collect the taxes. I can't go run over there. There's no way that you can do everything you need to do and keep everything safe. The longer the lines are, the more problems there are. I was talking to Cynthia Ginyard the other day, and she was at a poll. Four Corners, where was it? And all that static was going on.
Everywhere.
Yeah, all that static was going on. If we keep the lines short and get the people moving in and out on both sides, it keeps safety. Am I right or wrong? The sheriff is here right now. All I'm talking about is to move these people, keep things safe, keep the lines short. If we have machines that's sitting in storage, why not bring them out? Why IT is not helping out?
Well,
that's
again,
been my
some
biggest
places
thing.
we don't have, like Hightower, for example. You've mentioned it. They have a machine down, but they've been averaging less than 20 voters an hour
But
for
John,
this
we
whole
know that the
year.
second week of election and the election day is going to be busy. And I'm
We
going back and forth with
recognize
you. I'm going back and forth with you, with you on this because I keep saying the same thing. I mean, IT know that I call them every time a machine go down in my office because we can't afford waiting time. I have an hour waiting time in my office. Like this, it will grow in just a matter of time if that machine's down too long. She's actually trying to assign me a person, which I think will never happen. But at the same time, the county should do the right thing when it comes to the public. And we should make sure we're
And
taking
we
care
feel
of.
that we are.
I don't
Again,
think you are if we're
well,
not
if we
serving
look
the
at
people.
Hightower and they have one machine down and they're averaging 20, they still have 20 voters an hour. They still have 3 more voting stations than, for example, Four Corners, who's averaging 45 or 50 an hour. So the amount of equipment there should be handling it. It's a long way to Hightower. We will, you know,
For
we
2
don't.
years now, I've been watching this, and the line goes all the way around that corner at a certain time, one. And the other thing about it, Cinco Ranch, I went out there, I asked y'all to put 2 handicap machines down. Cinco Ranch don't have one at all. That kind of stuff could be, no, they don't. I know they
What do you
don't.
mean a handicap machine?
Those machines that sit on the desk counter
Oh,
machines.
well, every one
because
of our
wheelchair.
booths, if they have 30 voting stations, 15 of them are handicapped. They are at a lower, the machine is at the same level as a tabletop. So at Cinco, they basically use those machines to do, that they have on a tabletop for problematic voters, people that have to get out of line to fill out forms, and then they'll just run them over there. At least that's what they've done in the past. But every one of, if we have 30 machines somewhere, 15 of them are at a height and a width for a wheelchair.
And so every time a machine breaks down, you or Chase have to go over there and fix it, and not our
I'll
IT
replace it.
department.
We replaced some,
When we're
sometimes it's a
paying
very
for
simple.
10 people to sit with IT and wait for that to happen. IT also, I know for a fact, because I just called them, have 3 cars and 2 trucks. IT don't like me that much because I call them so much when I have a problem. But at the end of the day, the customers deserve the right to be able to get in the polls and out the polls. We have these machines sitting. Why can't y'all work as a team and get this done? IT, y'all cannot handle it? Y'all can't handle machines? What is the problem? Am I telling a story when
I think
say-
we're handling everything very, very well,
No,
actually.
we're not when our people are waiting, one. No, we're not when we have machines down at different locations. We had 10 machines down in total. So we have 10 machines down now, and I have to wait and rely on John Odom or Chase to go fix them when we pay for our IT department. When we got people just sitting on the side. Am I wrong or right? I'm not sure about that, IT. Are we wrong or right? I know I talked to y'all the other day, y'all had 2 trucks to move stuff and 3 cars or something like that. I don't want to tell no story. I just want to make sure the people is being serviced. And I'm not just like this with you all, the 2 of you all. I'm like this in my office, Keisha tell you. I cannot stay in the lines. I cannot stand people waiting. The longer they wait, the more problems it is in the lines. And I brought this up to you, Chase, I did. I called you Friday when I first seen it. And you know how it is, Sheriff. We've been standing out there, and we've seen the lines, and when you got people waiting in line, it causes headache, problems, it's problematic, and we need to stop it. Now, why can't y'all work together? I've been saying this forever. This is not the first conversation I've had. You don't know how to program the machines? Do you program the machines? Who program them?
We do.
Yeah,
And
John's-
nobody else is going to.
Okay,
That's
so
the
you're the only
bottom line.
you're the only person that can program
Not
machines?
the only person, but our office is responsible for actually prepping
Okay.
the equipment.
The other day, I was at Four Corners, and a machine was, ballot box was picked up by a lady named Linda Laurie. Who was that?
Who's,
Somebody from y'all's office, and the thing was wide open. We
oh,
want,
it's picked up by Lisa, picked up by one of our staff. There's a chain of custody on that, and Lisa could fix a machine, but that's her skill level.
you said that you want transparency, and I want transparency just like you do. I like everything to be done fairly. And when I say transparency, I mean everywhere. The reason that I didn't know we had 4 locations, and I'm quite sure this staff didn't know, this board didn't know we had 4 different locations where you could drop off. I called Mr. King, if y'all remember correctly, and I asked him to put cameras in all the locations. And we put cameras in all the locations. We have to do things accordingly to make sure we on top of things. You all know how the media has been getting on us, the public has been getting on us about being transparent. I just want to keep everything transparent. Who is Linda and why is she picking up ballot boxes and where is she taking them to?
We have to pick up ballot boxes, they get full. We try to replace them when there's 3,000 ballots in them, although I picked up one Wednesday morning from Bowie that had 3,500 in it. So we know they can go that far. But yeah, we can't leave them out there. They can leave one extra one basically and secure it, but they can't leave them sitting on the floor overnight, so we have to get them and
I
bring
agree
them
with
in.
you. Now,
And there's a
who-
chain of custody form
Oh,
on there
okay, and
that says
is
who
the
released
sheriff's
it to me,
department, the
who
DA's
released it
department,
to
who
me.
is helping you move those machines? We just trusting one person, Linda? Who?
No, we have,
Just you?
no, it's me. Chase has picked up, Lisa's picked up, some of my other staff have picked up. That's our office. We don't, the chain of custody should be that those ballots are turned over to, according to code, to the custodian of the elections ballots, which is me. So it's got to be either me or my staff. We don't have IT people bring stuff back in. We don't have other parties bring stuff back in. But the case is an extension of me from a legal standpoint, as is Lisa. So they're authorized, we authorize them to pick up ballots, but there's a chain of custody form on there. For example, the clerk, presiding clerk at that site would sign when he's turning it over with the seal number on it. If it's me, I would sign it saying I received it at 5:55 a.m., and I bring it back and we drop it and store it in our tabulation area, and which you can see on the live stream.
Okay, thank you. Is there, the DA's office is here and IT is here. Is there anything that you guys need to, IT, you want to finish up what you had to say? Okay. Thank you, John.
Sure.
Yes.
4, receive update from Information Technology Department on election support.
I'm going to have Jahan give the update, unless you wanted me to finish my statement. You were asking.
Yeah, you want to go ahead and finish your statement?
You were asking about IT and elections working together. We are on standby. So we have at least 4 technicians that are active and for early voting, and we have at least 17, I believe, that are on standby, ready and able. And I believe 12 are established as active for Election Day.
And moving, if we have to move machines, do y'all have any vehicles available to do that, or y'all don't?
We do have vehicles available, yes.
So the Elections Office gave us permission this weekend to post on Nextdoor that polls are open for early voting. A reminder to the public. So this included the listing where the polls were and what times they were open. So that went out Friday and Saturday and Sunday. Included in this post was a GIS map to help them find their locations. We also informed the voters on Nextdoor that they could vote at any polling location in the county. Along with that, the website team led by Beverly, they've been updating the website, county website, every day with voting statistics. So you could see that. So to add on to what John has been saying, so IT has logged a total of 17 service tickets since early voting began on October 24th. And I agree with John. What we've been seeing largely is issues revolving around equipment. For example, keys not unlocking a machine, power cord needed for a kiosk, scanners not working, printers not working. So I do want to add on to what Robin is saying. IT is in a support role. John has called us several times, and Chase has called for help moving equipment. We've done that, and we do stand ready to assist, as Robin has stated, elections when needed. We're only a phone call away. And we are ready to continue supporting early voting and support on Elections Day.
Okay, thank you.
Yes, ma'am. Yes, sir.
You said after week 1, basically, you had 17 tickets.
Yes, service tickets logged called into IT.
Would you consider that normal compared to other elections, higher, lower?
I would consider that lower. I'm comparing this to 2020, and we saw a whole lot more with the new machines and new equipment. So we've had time to work out some of the bugs. So I would say this is lower than average. Yes, sir.
I don't have any questions.
Yes, ma'am.
Regarding IT. I do have another comment, but it's not IT.
Okay, okay.
Thank you.
DA, Sheriff's Department, did we need a report from the DA or the Sheriff's Department? Did you want to come up?
Good morning.
Good morning.
I'm here today just to listen about what's going on and the security at the polls. I talked to John, I believe it was last week. He called me about when we pick up the polls on election night. He said that he usually pay an officer to escort the poll.
Actually, to be a central count.
It'd be at central count. So what I did of paying someone, because what they paying our officers won't work for, I don't know, what was it, $20? Or, yeah, that won't happen. So I'm putting officers on duty that will cover that for those hours. I would like to make a statement about John. He's right. The law says that he's the custodian of those when they change the polls. But my suggestion is just to help or to make it seem with no improprieties, no questions of improprieties. If you like for an officer to escort their person while doing it, that can be arranged. That way, nobody can say, did anything happen, or you have a camera there. This is just another safeguard if you would like to have one of my deputies to escort them when you have to pick up a poll or a box. Pick up one of the boxes that's overloaded. Just call our office. We have a number. Just utilize us. I mean, we have things that if you want to utilize it that could help this, well, there'll be no questions about it. Another thing, you're right about the lines being long. People get agitated and things like that. We should educate the poll workers or the judges that you have there to use the number. We getting calls, which I'm not understanding, from citizens calling us. I'm like, well, they need to come out and watch it more often, have them come out and watch more often, because the citizens call us. And one thing about officers, we're not going to violate somebody's civil rights. If they have a right to free speech, or you might not like it, but that's not against the law. But we need the polling people to come out more often on those lines. My deputies are patrolling, but I made a point for them just to stay at the perimeter, because I don't want anyone to say we're trying to force or intimidate anyone. But we're there to be called, so I'd like for you all to utilize them more often. I'm here to assist and to help. It's not a party thing. It's just getting the people out to vote and let them feel safe and secure. Fort Bend, I can say this. We're a great county. People care about one another here in Fort Bend. This foolishness of these signs being vandalized is happening on both sides. Ray Aguilar called me last week. Someone took down his sign and just put up another sign in the place. It's happening on the Republican side, it's happening on the Democratic side, but we all should denounce it. The Democratic chair and the Republican chair should make us to denounce it. Everyone has the right to vote for whoever they want to, but this pettiness, this is what's really bothered me, we have candidates, people running for office at the polling place arguing. I mean, can y'all sit down and talk to them? I talked to Cynthia at one time. I'm sorry I don't have your number, she makes it take turns. When one person speak, don't interrupt the other one. I can't come out for these little petty arguments. Just if you sit down and educate your candidates, I'm sorry that you have to say it like that, but some of them need education on just common courtesy, just common courtesy. When one speak, stop, then the other one speak. I mean, how hard is that? How hard is that? Other than that, I'm here for your help. Any support you may need, please feel free to call. You have the number. Please utilize the number when you need it. And I I try to talk to John at least every week to see what's going on. He does call me, but like I said, if you want to utilize a deputy to escort you when you pick up a ballot box.
We discuss it, we don't always know. Usually we get them, for example, I'm gonna drop one off at Bowie today. I will probably pick it up at 5:30 in the morning, so, but I don't know exactly, when. So
Okay, if you just give me a rough time, my office is 24 hours. Just give me a time. You don't have to call me at 5:30, but we're there for your assistance. All right.
Thank you, Sheriff.
how much time would you need for that?
DA's office?
Good morning. Sheriff Fagan has basically covered what I would say. I would say everything is going relatively smoothly, as Mr. Oldham said. We've received a few calls. The sheriff has been doing their regular roving patrol. Additionally, based on some phone calls that we received, Mr. Middleton, we set up a list of investigators from the district attorney's office that are on call on a rotating basis as well, that they can be immediately responsive if there's some situation that arises. But I'm going to agree with both of the gentlemen that have spoken that things are going relatively smoothly, and we're available, working along with the sheriff's office and the election administration's office and IT for any questions and concerns. All right?
Any questions?
Any questions?
Okay. Is there anything else from anybody on the?
Me, we always, Bobby, you're new to the scene, but Four Corners is always a sore spot. And I have to talk to my candidates so that they can talk to their workers. And some of them I know, or I drive through, so they know my car when they see me driving up. And they're being ugly. And I'm not accusing one side, okay? They're being ugly. And some folks can take it, and some folks can't. So I get after my candidates about it. And then they get hot with me, and then you talking to us like we're children. Well, some of y'all acting like children, okay? You know I am a retired principal, right? It's what I do. But anyway, just to, alert you, and sometimes it's our candidates being ugly and inciting, saying things that they shouldn't, trying to bogart the place, creating their own rules. So just know that it happens, and I have to deal with my folks on that, and also at Sugar Land Library. Certainly not as much rancor as it was at Four Corners, but Sugar Land Library has had a couple of instances. As a matter of fact, I said something myself. Nobody owns this country. It belongs to all of us. Go back to your country. Whew. But anyway, those kinds of things. And so I put a person over there who they're pretty much used to, because they work together on several elections. So that we only have one hot spot and not two. That would be helpful, but just know that it does exist. People get out of their place, and that's my line to them. Keep your body and your mouth in your own space. And they don't. So, and we don't need that. I'm burning a tank of gas every 2 days, having to drive around the polls. Thank goodness there's only one that's problematic, but I have to go and check, just wanted you to know that I'm aware, and I wanted you to be aware of this. This would be your first major, and that's all it'll take you to learn everything you need to know. And yes, we have been, it's been a good election, John. I didn't, my phone didn't start ringing Monday morning, 7 o'clock getting me up, and we have our normal nuances and a little bit of hysteria, as I call it. One thing happens, and then they go on Facebook with it, and the investigation hasn't been done, and then it may not even be the problem. So I'm dealing with that. I don't know what it looks like from your side, but it may be a one-to-one situation that a person has, and then they just declare is just, oh, this is what they're doing, and this media access that we have is a good thing and a bad thing. So when they say something that really actually isn't true, it creates a lot of hype, and it fosters more distrust than we already have, and I don't like that. So I'm troubleshooting those kinds of situations, but it's been a good week. You said 17 calls or something. I'm like, oh, that means 0. But it's been a good week. I'm looking forward to us having another good week, and looking forward to a good election day.
Well, I appreciate those comments, and I thank you for welcoming me in since I am new. I've been making it to a lot of the polling locations and informing both our workers and our candidates to be professional and be on their best behavior. And maybe this is something that we can address down the line. It's just the physical, the geography of some of these locations is not conducive to passing out something to a voter. Sugar Land to a lesser extent, Four Corners to a greater extent, where it just ends up being sign waving and shouting because they can't. Chasewood. Right. Okay. And so because I like going over and passing something out, and so in Four Corners when I first went there, and I've been there multiple times this week, I was like, whoa, this is a.
And you know what, Bobby? It makes no sense to me. I don't care what side is doing it. I am not going to vote for a person because they're shouting at me. Obviously, whatever my reason, my card, or I've researched, or I'm going to vote the party, whichever it is. So it really is no reason for. It's not results driven, and I don't think it's effective.
Yeah, it's hard to get that point across to some of these folks, though. But again, there's some locations like Siena and Cinco and Reese that are just so much that the people just walk right by you, and you can just hand
Yes.
it out, and then you end up talking with each other. The different
Right,
locals as
right,
we go. So
right.
some of them are just going to be more problematic, and we'll do the best we can.
We will too, and you're right about that. Some just don't lend themselves to getting to the voters, so that's why they feel a need to shout out, even though, you agree with me that that's, hardly fruitful. Oh yeah, they've shouted out Tim's name. I'm gonna vote for Tim, let me find him. Oh. Right. Oh, that's it, Carmen.
The only thing I really care about is making sure we have safety and making sure everything is moving efficient and the machines and everything are working proper. I don't care about Republican, Democrat. I care that the people get in and get out in a timely manner. I know if I see a lot of lines, if people stay out there too long, it causes problems. The problems that we have in the Four Corners and Sugar Land, things are going to be said to people, but if we move the process and move it as fast as we can, it'll work. I know for a fact that in our office, people call us around budget time. Our phone ring off the hook around budget time. People really don't realize that we have to wait on the appraisal district to give us our numbers to get to the budget department. And I know if we all work as a team, we can make this happen. And that's all I really care about. I appreciate everybody that came out today. Anytime y'all need my help, I'm out and about. You work me to death, but it's okay. It's okay. It's okay. But I try to be appropriate to both sides and not be mean to anybody. I'm never mean. You'll never see me. Actually, I'm the party animal. The other day, I was at Cinco Ranch, and I went over to the Republican Party, and I spoke to both people, and one of them wouldn't shake my hand. I was okay with it. Because at the end of the day, you can't please everybody, and everybody's not going to like you. I smiled about it. I went on inside the machine, and I met this little lady that's the judge over there, the sweetest lady you'll ever meet. And so it changed my whole attitude, my whole personality, just by meeting her. And if we keep things just moving, then I walked out the door and I found somebody's driver's license. I ran back in to take the driver's license, didn't know who it was. It ended up being one of the guys that I tried to shake hand, friend. And I was like, oh my God. But that's how things work. But we just need to work as a team and all of us stick together and get this over. When I ran myself, I didn't do any negative advertising and publicity, and I wish we would stop that, because let me tell you something, Fort Bend County is the safest county anybody could ever be in compared to all these other states and places. And I mean, I love the team that we have, and I just appreciate everybody being here.
5, adjournment.
Move to adjourn.
Yes.
Thank everybody for coming out.
Okay.